Our MC's name is Jihan, and he has acquired the SSS-ranked martial arts skill of a god, but he has not been able to fully unlock its potential. It all began when the gods of this universe decided to engage all planets inhabited by intelligent beings in a battle to the death. The losing planets would be immediately erased without a trace. The rest of the humans were too weak and lost the battle against the orcs. Only our MC survived. But Earth still lost, and the deletion process began. When the entire planet disappeared, only Jihan remained, whose skill resisted deletion. This unique ability caught the attention of the gods, and they decided to give him a second chance to unlock the full potential of his skill. In addition, he received a broken system that allows him to level up many times faster than others. He also gained access to an achievement store where he can buy unique items and gain new abilities with the points he earns. When Jihan startles awake, the first thing he hears are the muffled voices of a television screen. He groggily wakes up and tries to remember what happened. The last thing he remembered reading from the system was that he would be returned to the League's first entry era. He takes a moment to check his surroundings and immediately recognizes exactly where he is. He's at the top of the building he used to live in 2020 in South Korea. There were no monsters destroying the streets, or life-threatening games going on, and kids even played on the sidewalk, imitating the Sword King, Yoon Sejin. Jihan realizes that he really was teleported back to times of peace with no warning. Just to make sure, he calls for his status window to see if his abilities have been reset as well. He has been returned to level 2, which confirms that he is now back in time, at the point where he first entered the league. He has no idea what's going on, but this is the perfect opportunity for him. If he uses the information from his past life, then there's a chance that he can change the future, and he must change it so he can protect everyone this time around. With the knowledge of the end of the game, he will make sure that everything is different this time. In the year 2020, Korea had a solid standing, and they had someone who topped the charts in terms of strength. Among the world's top players, there were 11 considered to be the best, and among these 11 players, there was one defending third place. He is a man with dazzling strength that can take out a dozen players with a single attack. That man is the Sword King Yoon Sejin, and he is the reason that Korea had an unshakable hold as one of the strongest countries in the world. He is the pride and treasure of Korea, and thanks to his participation in the BattleNet, he earned the title of the strongest warrior, and Korea was able to retain the higher ranks within Northeast Asia. At least they were able to do that until the day that Jihan had coincidentally been reincarnated. On that day, Yoon Sejin personally announced that he has decided to change his name to Ryu Hai and naturalize as a Japanese citizen. It should have been a normal day in July 2020, but on that day, Korean BattleNet received the biggest shock in its history. Jihan always hated looking at the face of the man that practically doomed Korea to ruin. After Yoon Sejin left, Korea fell into great chaos. They went from holding the higher ranks in BattleNet to facing repeated defeats. And eventually, they fell through the ranks within the league at a frightening pace. People blindly hoped that there wouldn't be a huge change within the rankings, and they thought that there were still a lot of bright and promising young people in the country who can help Korea at least remain in the top 20. With that kind of defeatist mindset, it's no wonder they failed so badly. No one appeared to make up for Yoon Sejin's absence, and things only got worse over time. Things would have been different if there were a little more time, but the BattleNet was way too brutal. Once the Space League started, things became way more serious. In the beginning, the BattleNet was treated like a game, but the Space League turned it into an all-out war for survival. If someone lost their life in the game, then they would also lose their life in reality. Monsters also appeared in countries that fell to the lower ranks, and a one-sided massacre would take place in those countries. After Yoon Sejin left and Korea fell to the lower ranks, it was eventually destroyed. Those who had survived gathered and began to say that if the Sword King had stayed, then Korea would have had a different ending. That's how important the Sword King was. And to top it all off, he is Jihan's brother-in-law. To vent out his anger, Jihan smashes a family picture of Yoon Sejin hanging in the living room. Jihan still wonders why his sister would love someone like Yoon Sejin, and how different things would have been if she were still alive. Now that he's done reminiscing about the past, it's time to figure out what to do in the present. It's great that he came back to the past, but right now, his stats are way too pathetic. In his younger years before the Space League, he spent all his free time drinking and gambling away his money. He didn't even know just how incredible his gift was at the time. A gift is a special talent given to a player once they reach the age of 18. There were only a small number of players who received a gift, and since Jihan was unlucky enough to receive the lowest ranked gift, an F rank, he used his ability to predict the winner in games and gambled as a living. He didn't know back then just how valuable his skill would end up being, since it's a skill that reveals itself after its awakening. That aside though, that doesn't change the fact that his stats are horrible and that these kinds of stats should belong to a level 1 player. However, in a state of drunkenness, he ended up drinking an experience potion thinking that it was alcohol, and that made him level up. Weirdly enough though, he also has a lot of achievement points. Aside from the fact that they are useless and not worth any money, Jihan is pretty sure that he didn't accomplish anything before he entered the league, so it's weird that he has all these points. It's possible that all these changes have taken place because he regressed. For now though, he decides to check his inventory, and something in there immediately catches his eye. It's an achievement points exchange coupon which gives special benefits to the last survivor who chose to challenge again. Obviously this was made specially for him, and it's a rank X item which means it's incredibly useful and rare. He uses it immediately, and the system activates an achievement store for him. The store has things that are exclusive to him for sale, and it can even be upgraded with a certain amount of achievement points. He will most likely get more options to choose from if he upgrades, and he needs to buy something that he can start using right away. There's not a lot of choices in the store, so he gives in and tries upgrading it. The level 2 expansion doesn't give anything particularly useful, so he upgrades it to level 3, and once again, it's not very useful to him, with only 50,000 points left. If he upgrades the store to level 4, then he will only have 10,000 points left. The higher he upgrades the store, the more expensive it will be to upgrade it again, so he's only got two choices. He can either buy all the items that are available to him right now, or gamble his points and upgrade to level 4. He has always been a hardcore gambler, so the choice is obvious. He upgrades his store to achievement level 4 and immediately, his actions pay off. The next level unlocks an item called Urgent Restoration. It allows him to repair other items from a faulty state to a perfect state. Good outcomes like these are why he just can't stop gambling. How can he possibly stop when he keeps hitting the jackpot over and over? Now that he has gotten this god-tier ability, it's time for the real test of his abilities. He heads to a room elsewhere within the massive penthouse, and uses his thumb to unlock access to a special area. It's Yoon Sejin's playing room. And Jihan is almost surprised that the system still recognizes him as a family member, even though the true owner of the room isn't around anymore. That aside, there's no reason for him to complain about a free gift like this. He opens up the inventory of the BattleNet connector and finds exactly what he was looking for. It's an item called Dongfang Shuo's Spoiled Brush, and it's an A-rank item that even the inventory describes as useless. But with a little assistance from his new Urgent Restoration tool, he's able to repair it and turn it back into exactly what he wants. The A-rank Spoiled Brush becomes an SS-rank item that holds a link to the martial god. Before he can admire his handiwork though, a notification pops up, informing him that the tutorial for the Gangnam Bronze League will soon start. There's only 10 seconds left before he will be summoned to the arena, so Jihan has no time to waste. He calls for his status window and uses the brush to mess with his stats. The reason that he was able to rise up and become number 7 in the world in his past playthrough was because of an ability that eventually led him to being called the Martial Saint. This unique stat combines his strength, agility, and HP attributes into one, and it's called Martial Power. The brush was abandoned because it was spoiled, but thanks to it, he can finally start his awakening. He finishes writing just as the countdown ends, and he's forcefully logged in and summoned to the BattleNet League. The mission of this Bronze League tutorial is survival, and the players are meant to survive against monsters of the Colosseum along with 100 other players. Once half of the players remain, the survival game will come to an end, and the winners will be decided. Jihan hurriedly checks his status window as soon as he's summoned, and he's thankful to see that somehow he managed to do it. He obtained martial power, and thanks to it, he even gained 1,000 achievement points as a reward. This is just the first step in his ultimate goal of getting the nameless divine art. But with just this upgrade, he should easily be able to breeze through the Bronze League. The system also warns him that he is connected to the BattleNet without a connector, so because of that, he will suffer 100% of the pain in the game. Jihan remembers this from before the Space League started. During the tutorial period, people were able to reduce pain by buying connectors. The one that his brother-in-law Yoon Sejin used was a high-end product that reduced pain by up to 99%. Jihan plans to make good use of that later on, but for now he has to manage without it in the game. The achievement menu opens and it reveals to him that he has a limited quest. He is to achieve number 1 in the tutorial, and as a reward, he will be given 1,000 achievement points. This didn't exist in his past life, but clearing this quest will be easy for him thanks to the help of martial power. The game eventually starts, and not even a second after the notification is given, someone rushes at him from behind with his sword raised. The surprise attacker looks like he's rushing to catch a newbie off guard and get a free and easy kill, but he's surprised when Jihan manages to easily stop the attack with nothing but 2 fingers. The man can't even pull his sword back and Jihan turns to him. Then he thanks the man for being generous enough to give away the first kill. This is easily the most enjoyable content in the game, and that is the ability to mercilessly slaughter people. Another thing in the world that completely changed with the introduction of the BattleNet is the addition of guilds. Guilds are groups of people that train and manage players, and everyone around the world is incredibly interested in the BattleNet. Because of that, each country put their resources into fostering players, and well-known enterprises also aggressively invested in the growth of players, allowing large and small guilds to be established in South Korea. Thanks to that, Korea has been able to train strong players early in the league. The Gangnam Bronze League is a place where rising stars of each guild made their debut. In this particular Gangnam League match, an aspiring player is summoned to the Coliseum just like the rest of the players, and he's trying his best not to be nervous. This potential cannon fodder is named Do Hyukyu, and he considers himself to be luckier than anyone else. After all, he's with the Divergent Guild, which is managed by the Divergent Group. This famous guild is known for having many rising stars, and the ordinary young man, Do Hyukyu, was able to join this impressive guild after obtaining the A-rank gift, Agility. Only a small minority of people can obtain an A-rank gift, and thanks to it, he's sure that he can make it into the top 50. Now the first step is finding out who his opponent is going to be. His eyes scan the crowd, and all he can see are powerful knights, brutish warriors and scary-looking monsters. Faced with these many options, Do Hyukyu makes the brave decision to completely ignore them and turn away as if he didn't see anything. After all, staying alive is the most important thing for survival, and the other players are staring at him as if they can smell his fear. If he gets eliminated for messing around right off the bat, then that would be absolutely embarrassing. Looking around, most of the players seem to be from major guilds, and they all have good equipment. Being here doesn't even feel like being in the Bronze League at all. Among the crowd though, he notices someone that looks out of place among all the other rising stars. He's wearing a wife-beater top, sweatpants, and he has no shoes or any equipment to speak of at all. Do Hyukyu wonders if this person even plans to participate in the Bronze League at all, or if he was summoned by accident. He must be a newbie that got summoned by mistake, which also means that he's a free, easy kill. Hyukyu readies himself and prepares to strike while also praising whatever luck he has for giving him such an easy kill right out of the gate. As soon as the system notifies that the game has started, Hyukyu wastes no time and rushes in to deliver the finishing blow on the unsuspecting newbie. Except to his utter surprise, not only did the newbie block his attack, he did it with 2 fingers. It makes no sense that someone who seems so out of place could keep up with his A-rank agility ability. Before he can process what's going on, Jihan flings him aside with barely any effort, tossing him to the side like he's completely lightweight. Jihan mocks him for coming to participate in the Bronze League with a simple gift like agility. That pisses off Hyukyu, who can't accept that his A-rank ability is being insulted by someone who looks like a beggar. Maybe Jihan is only full of himself because he managed to block just 1 attack. In that case, Hyukyu plans to teach him a lesson by charging up his fastest speed. It looks like the player is planning to come at Jihan with all he's got, and our MC is forced to admit that even his speed from before isn't something to take lightly. Hyukyu comes charging in, going straight for Jihan's neck, but our MC successfully manages to dodge the attack, dodging down low before it can connect. But the relentless attacks aren't done, and Hyukyu comes at him with another attack, and another, and another. All of his attacks are easily dodged, but that doesn't mean that Jihan is having the best time. He's used to fighting with higher stats, but now his mind has to adjust to being back in a level 2 player's body. Hyukyu isn't even that fast. It's Jihan who is slow, which means that this fight won't be as easy as he made it out to be. However, even with that, as someone who has experienced countless fights, the trajectory of his ambitious attacker is just too simple and obvious. Hyukyu comes in for another large attack, and Jihan is done dodging this time. He smacks the weapon out of his attacker's hand, causing the sword to go flying in the air. Then before Hyukyu can even process what just happened, Jihan jumps into the air, catching the sword, and then stabbing it through his opponent's neck, finally ending the fight. Hyukyu falls to the ground, and as his body fades away in defeat, he promises that the next time that he and Jihan run into each other, that he's going to win. That causes Jihan to sigh in grief, and it really puts into perspective how nice this world is. Even when he's dead, he's still talking about his next battle. The system pops up and informs him that he has taken the first kill in the tutorial, and he obtains 100 achievement points for it. The sword unfortunately disappears since the player that owns it has died. RMC doesn't need a sword, and now that he has gotten a pretty decent warm-up, it's time for him to move on to the next battle. First, he has to secure more than 5 kills to get a good position in this mission. As he expected though, no one is going after the monsters. In the BattleNet, apart from players, there are monsters too. But 1 monster kill is only 0.1 of a player kill, meaning that you would have to kill 10 monsters for a single player kill to be counted. Because of that, most people avoided the monsters entirely, especially in the situation where the monsters are mobs like orcs. Going after them would be completely stupid. But it looks like the system likes stupid, because it gives him a new quest to kill all 30 orcs in the Colosseum. Hunting monsters is definitely inefficient, but he's getting 500 achievement points as a reward, which is 5 times more than the reward he got for getting the first kill. If that's the case, then there's no reason not to go after the orcs. These basic NPC monsters are nothing compared to a real orc anyway, so it shouldn't be much of a problem for him. Since there's nothing holding him back, he decides to go all out on the unsuspecting monsters. The orcs at first can't believe that there's an almost naked human running towards them at full speed, but they quickly recover and gather together to try and kill him. The first 2 that are closest throw their axes at him in hopes of cutting him down before he even gets close. But Jihan is able to catch the axes with ease, and then throw it back at them, killing multiple orcs with a single hit. That causes the rest to go into a frenzy, but Jihan is already on the move, running right past all of them and appearing right in the middle of all of them. Then with one swing of the second axe, several orc heads go flying, but our MC isn't done yet. He has only killed 5 orcs so far, and the remaining 25 don't look too pleased by his actions. They are even more motivated to kill him now, but they are just no match for him. He moves faster than they can keep up with, and his battle experience shows up heavily here. Another orc rushes in with a spear, determined to kill Jihan quickly, but his weapon is easily caught and broken, leaving him standing confused and dazed as our MC goes in to cut him down with his axe. Except the axe unexpectedly breaks as he tries to attack the orc. That fills the orcs with a bit more confidence, and they think now that his weapon is broken, they should have an easier time dealing with him. All the orcs rush at him, and Jihan gives them credit for being so persistent, but no matter how much they try, he's just too much for them to take on. He stomps on the ground with his foot, and the shockwave alone is enough to break apart the ground, sending all the orcs that were running towards him flying. Then he jumps into the air and grabs the weapons that went flying from the orcs' hands as they were pushed back, and in a second, he dashes through the crowd, killing even more orcs in the process. The slaughter continues, and more orcs continue to fall until there's only one left. The last orc is too frozen to move, but at this point he finally realizes that Jihan is more of a monster than they are. As he realizes that, Jihan takes him out as well, successfully clearing the quest. The system hands him the 500 achievement points that were promised, and he also leveled up from the fight. Leveling up mid-game is unusual since experience is usually calculated at the end of the game, but this might be because he is still at a low level. No matter the reason, however, Jihan doesn't complain and takes the opportunity to level up his stats while he can, and if there's one stat that he wants to give the most priority to, it's martial power. Martial power combines 3 stats together, and even if other people were to upgrade one of those stats at a time, a single level in martial power is able to double your abilities at minimum. There's also another reason why martial power is special to Jihan, and that's because once he hits level 30 in martial power, then he has a chance to obtain the unnamed divine arts. If he wants to get stronger, then he has to obtain the unnamed divine arts as soon as possible. However, there's a fatal flaw to the stat, and that's the fact that it's not easy to increase martial power. Normally, you would have to gain an assortment of battle experience and training in order to increase the martial power stat, and points can only increase the maximum growth rate. However, this time, for some reason the martial power level actually increases. That's great for him, and Jihan isn't exactly sure how it happened, but if it continues to increase like this, then his hope of becoming the strongest might actually be possible. There's no time for him to loiter around, and this is still a battlefield after all. As he's looking through his stats, an archer shoots an arrow at him which he easily predicts and manages to dodge. The archer is partnered up with a warrior in fancy-looking equipment, and they are both clearly looking down on Jihan. The girl tells her partner to wrap things up quickly, and the confident smiles on their faces show that they think they are going to deal with him very easily. It's not unusual for 2 people to team up in a battle. The survival game is intended to be PvP, but there's no rule saying that participants can't work together. The logo on their clothes also shows that they are in one of the top 10 guilds in Korea, the Turtle Guild. The trouble with this matchup is the pairing of the two. A warrior and an archer is a combination of short and long-ranged attackers. The fact that they are in the same team also means this won't be easy for Jihan to take care of by any stretch of the imagination. A notification pops up, informing him that there are only 60 survivors left, and the tutorial is about to end. So many people have died already, and with the tutorial about to end, all Jihan has to do is dodge the attacks from the pair, and he should be able to survive till the end. But if the 2 of them came to specifically kill him, then he must look like an easy target to them. As Jihan tries to figure out what to do with these 2, they are so confident in themselves that the warrior asks the knight out for dinner if he kills Jihan. Just before the fight starts, Jihan checks the scoreboard and sees that he is barely in first place with 4 kills. That means that if he manages to kill these 2, then it will guarantee his rank. To start off, he goes after the archer first, killing her while she's still in the middle of being hit on by the warrior. With his martial power stat currently at level 6, they have no chance against him. The warrior is in shock that his partner died so easily, but he doesn't even have a chance to process what's going on as Jihan rushes up behind him and slashes at his back with his sword. Luckily for the warrior, his thick B-rank armor managed to save his life, and he thinks that Jihan won't be able to pierce through it with such a poor weapon. But Jihan keeps going, using the sword to stab at the armor over and over, slowly creating a hole in the same spot with his continuous strikes, until the gap is just large enough for him to take out the knight. Elsewhere, in a dimly lit office space, a woman watches a replay of the match with a cup of tea in her hand, right as Jihan cuts down the warrior. This woman is Lee Haeon, the 3rd Division head of the Department of Human Resources in the Divergent Guild. She thinks it's a relief that Jihan wasn't summoned right beside her bodyguard, Lim Gaiyong, who was in the same match as Jihan and managed to rank 2nd place. Gaiyong isn't thrilled about basically being told that she's weaker than someone, but Haeon still advises her to try and avoid fighting with the maniacal newbie. For now, what she needs Gaiyong to do is to collect data. However, as Gaiyong watches the video playing on her boss's monitor, she can't help but notice that she has definitely seen Jihan somewhere before. Lim Gaiyong of the Divergent Guild is known mainly for possessing an S-rank gift. She is the Divergent Guild's high potential prospect, and her performance in the Bronze League lived up to everyone's expectations. She should have ranked first just as everyone hoped for her. And she most likely would have if it hadn't been for Xiang Jihan's appearance. The Turtle Guild's scout team can't help but yell in shock as he realizes that not only did Jihan beat some of their most promising members, but he also managed to rank first at only level 2, without any proper gear or affiliation to any group. He showed up in a wife-beater top and sweatpants and somehow managed to acquire 6 kills without any weapons. His performance alone in this match was enough to cause a lot of questions to pop up amongst the players in the world. The man himself relaxes back in his living room as he checks his rewards for achieving first place in the Bronze League tutorial. He gained an experience boost of 50%, and with it managed to go from level 3 to level 6. His level up speed is most likely due to the fact that he's still at rookie level, but it's a nice bonus regardless. He didn't gain any GP, which is the currency used by the system, but he did get stat points from his level up, which he threw directly into martial power. Once again, his martial power increases, going from level 6 to level 9. He also acquired a nickname, Tutorial Conqueror, which gives him an additional point in all his attributes, as well as an additional 20% experience boost. The nickname only applies in Bronze League, but it's fine in its own way. With that effect, he now has 10 points in martial power, which makes him incredibly overpowered in the Bronze League. The Silver League promotion battle will happen when he reaches level 25. So until then, he just has to focus on growing his power continuously. Those are already a lot of boosts to his stats and strength, but there's still one more thing he gained. By reaching level 5, he unlocked a class advancement, which means that he can now pick a class. When choosing a class, it's important that the player knows what each class brings to the table. There are 4 options to pick from: Warrior, Archer, Mage, and Support. In his previous life, he picked the Warrior class, and since he already has expert level knowledge of it, picking it again will make his life easier. But in his achievement store, there's an option to buy an extra class slot. With that, even if he chooses a different class this time, he can always add the Warrior class later on by buying it with 10,000 achievement points. Thanks to this, he doesn't need to choose the Warrior class first, and he can try out something else. His finger hovers over the options as he decides which one he's going to choose, and then eventually, he picks one. Later on, he's summoned to the Bronze League Gangnam area again for another mission. This place is filled with thousands of zombies crowding around each other, and the mission this time is defense. The zombies are at the bottom of a castle, and the players are to kill the zombies and protect the crystal resting at the top of the castle walls, while also doing their best to survive against the zombies. There are multiple towers, and the battle will continue until only 5 towers remain. On top of one of these towers is Lim Gaiyong, a warrior of the Divergent Guild, and she stares down at the zombies in disgust. They may be in a game, but that doesn't make the sight of decayed corpses any better. Behind her, the other players spawn in, and they seem to be familiar with the map as well as the mission. Gaiyong knows the people who have been matched up with her. One is an archer from the LK group, and he has strong-looking B-grade gear. Another is a mage, and he doesn't seem to be affiliated with any guild, but his equipment is impressive, and he doesn't look too bad for this level. These two look like good partners to work with, but the most important person in this particular mission type is the support. The defense mission is a long-term fight, and the support is the person that guarantees that they will be able to survive that fight. He's summoned last, and as the light clears, Gaiyong is surprised to see Xiang Jihan appear as the support of their group. Just like last time, his gear is pretty unique, and he's sporting a tracksuit and a metal pipe, truly the strongest gear available. 20 minutes before he was summoned for the mission, he decided to choose the support class. As he selected the option, the system itself advised him that the class isn't compatible with him. The reason he chose the support class, even though it is so bad for him that the system has to reconfirm his decision, is because the class gives him a new ability called Divine Power that is unlocked after choosing the support class. Divine Power is something he desperately needs if he wants to grow another unique stat, but it's one of the harder abilities to grow. That's because it's not as easy to boost with training like other stats, and there's no way to raise it other than to invest extra points in it. Jihan doesn't want to do that, of course, because he's throwing everything he has into his martial power stat in hopes of gaining the nameless divine arts early. He would never waste his valuable points on anything else. Then why did he choose the support class and gain the divine power stat? That's because he knows of another way to enhance divine power, and it's a method that people aren't aware of at all. The secret lies in his shiny new pipe. The other players are just as surprised at the fact that Jihan is a support as Gaiyang, and the mage in particular doesn't hide his frustration with Jihan's superior outfit and gear. He yells at Jihan for choosing not to have better equipment, and even emphasizes how expensive his own gear is in comparison, thinking that Jihan having bad gear is because he is incompetent. The archer tries to calm the mage down before he says something that's way out of line, but the mage doesn't want to hear any of it. He calls Jihan filthy, and even says that he doesn't want to play the game with someone so bad who will clearly mess up their team. Gaiyang shuts her eyes in annoyance and questions the horrible luck that forces her into a situation to play with a troll. However, she snaps out of it as she hears the mage cry out in surprise. Jihan has grabbed the arrogant mage by the collar of his cape, and our MC is holding him in the air like a toy. Then without a second thought, he tosses the mage over the edge of the tower, straight down towards the hungry zombies below. The mage has been complaining this whole time that he doesn't want to play with Jihan, so our MC helped him quit the game personally. The mage respawns after death, and as soon as he reappears at the top of the tower, he begs Jihan for forgiveness and promises to do his best for the team. The man groveling at our MC's feet is Kim Gyu-hyuk, and the reason for his sudden change in behavior is our MC's disciplinary techniques. When a person spawns in the Bronze League defense game, they are given a total of 3 lives. Kim Gyu-hyuk, who resurrected right away after being mercilessly tossed off the side of the tower, was immediately given another skydiving lesson by Jihan as soon as he respawned. Thanks to that, he has only 1 life remaining, and if he were to die one more time, then he would be kicked out of the game and get last place. That's why he's currently begging for his life at the feet of our MC, hoping that he's not thrown down to be zombie lunch again. He needs to avoid getting last place because if he does, then his level will fall as a penalty. That also means that all the skills he bought with his own money will disappear as a consequence. If a user's level doesn't meet the skill requirements, then the skill will automatically be deleted. Jihan is surprised that Gyu-hyuk's personality has changed so quickly, especially since he was so intent on raining down attacks in his last life as soon as he spawned. Gyu-hyuk tries to advertise himself as a fire mage who is very good against mobs of undead, and he's also level 15, which means that he's very strong. For any other team, he's a precious resource that they wouldn't want to lose, but all his yapping has reminded Gaiyang of who he is. Kim Gyu-hyuk used to be affiliated with one of the 10 great guilds in Korea, and he was respected by all. But he fell 4 times in the silver promotion leagues, and after that, he just went around starting fights. In other words, Gaiyang considers him a loser. Gyu-hyuk continues to advertise his skills and promises to cooperate with them, but on one condition. He wants Jihan to personally apologize for killing him twice. The archer is in support, and it's clear that he just wants their team to make up. But on the inside, Gyu-hyuk is still angry about being killed twice. But he's not even given the chance to finish his internal revenge monologue as Jihan grabs him by the collar again and tosses him off the side of the castle walls one last time for the sheer audacity of asking for an apology, even though he was the one who started the fight. And with that, their mage is gone, leaving their team down by 1 man. The zombies continue to climb the tower, and coincidentally, the team closest to them has another fire mage who makes quick work on the zombies on their side. That's why they needed a mage, and the archer scolds Jihan for not trying to meet the mage halfway. Jihan isn't fazed and opens up his status window to check his latest limited quest. This quest has a linked quest, and it requires him to get first place in the 10 Towers mission, and also kill 1,000 zombies on his own, for a total of 4,000 achievement points. Killing 1,000 zombies would be near impossible considering just how much time they have left. But he doesn't want to lose out on 3,000 points. Lim Gaiyang watches as Jian tries to figure out what to do, and she doesn't even try to hide how much he's judging him. So far, Jihan has only done what he wants, and despite his impressive specs, he's just a support class. From what Gaiyang can tell, there's no reason for her to try and bring him into the Divergent Guild. The archer isn't nearly as calm as she is though, and he continues yelling at Jihan, who finally notices. Finally, he tells Jihan that if he's going to continue acting like a jerk, then he should just go ahead and fight by himself. Unexpectedly, Jihan is happy to hear that, since he will be able to take out all the zombies alone if they let him go ahead without their help. Gyeong tells him to stay behind her while she takes the front. She sees the game is already lost, but she at least feels the need to take responsibility as a player. But Jihan tells her that it's alright. He plans to take everything in the front while the archer and Gyeong protect each other. A zombie finally manages to reach the top of the tower, and it's a blood zombie which is different and stronger than the other zombies. Its head is made of liquid, so they can't kill it with physical attacks. Well, they can anyways. Jihan doesn't care about the rules of the game. The zombie leaps in, and Jihan readies himself with the spear, and with one clean hit, kills the zombie by smashing its head in. Gyeong notices from the pieces of flaming zombie flesh that fall around that. Then Jihan must have access to divine power. More zombies make their way to the tower, and Jihan continues to fend them off one by one with his staff. So far he has only killed 6 zombies out of 100, and he has a long way to go. As more zombies climb up the tower, Jihan continues to take them all on solo. As he kills over 24 zombies, he starts to realize that his biggest issue will be the blood zombies. Physical attacks don't work on them, so when he sees them, he releases a small amount of divine power, which allows him to kill them all at once. The archer's view of Jihan has completely changed, and it's hard to deny that our MC really is a pro even though he's a jerk. Gyeong on the other hand is too stunned to speak, and can only watch Jihan fight with awe. He's controlling divine power freely, and fighting without wasting it. His level of control is impressive enough. But what impresses her the most is Jihan's skill and precision in going for the zombies' heads. Within a matter of minutes, Jihan has managed to kill over 200 zombies, which allows him to meet a hidden condition called an Otherworld's Faith. That increases his divine power from level 6 to level 7. This is his other method to increase his divine power, and it looks like it works. He can increase his divine power through the use of sacred objects.